Welcome back to day 2 of the Reese's Senior Bowl. A lot of news, a lot of headlines, a lot of storylines. We're getting settled in here. I saw some of the warm-ups and practice drills at 10:30, but they don't go live on NFL Network until noon. So the times are confusing. As far as the allotted times, they are kind of confusing. I think the thumbnail for today were the two running backs, Cam Scatibo on Arizona State for the national team, and then later today, Devin Neal, the Kansas running back on the American team. So we will look at the running backs today. I've already updated the running back rankings. So we'll see how
starter real late, and these guys are definitely football players. The two that you just mentioned, Devin Neal and Cam Scativo. I mean, they just work at what they do. Devin Neal popped on film when I was evaluating Jalen. Jalen, whatever the hell his name is. But
Jalen Daniels, the QB.
Jalen Daniels. Yeah. And usually they don't pop on film. I mean, when you're watching one player, you're watching one player, and that's what I concentrate on. But this guy kept showing up, and I've watched Scatibo's film, and he might not be fastest, but he has the heart and he has the power. I mean, he will be a third round back. At least that's what I have him at.
Yeah, I have Scatibo. I have a third round grade on him. I almost forgot to put him in the draft rankings, but then I realized, okay, some of these running backs went back to school. Where's Cam Scatibo? We need to move him in ASAP. And then we ended up putting him in.
Yeah, I remember mentioning him to you, and I remember that conversation that we had. I mean, the kid is a ball player. I mean, people have even tried to say that
he's fullbacks. Khalil Mullings is the only fullback at the Senior Bowl. Eli Wilson, G. Scott Jr., Ohio State, Corey Dyches, Thomas Jones from South Alabama. These are all guys. DJ Thomas Jones, no relation to Thomas Jones, the former NFL player, but DJ Thomas Jones. Those are all fullbacks. They're all seniors. I think Mullings is honestly the only one that's going to get drafted. So I have a round 6 grade on Mullings, but I have everyone else with a 7th round grade.
G. Scott is he's HVAC tight end, fullback, that kind of guy. He's real versatile, but they don't use it a whole lot and don't value it. So you're definitely right, and he should be, a priority free agent at the end of the draft. At least,
G. Scott is fullback 3 out of Ohio State. Eli Wilson at App State's my fullback too. I think Wilson and Scott will get picked up by teams as UDFAs if they're not drafted in the 7th round. But the rest of this class outside of Mullings and those two isn't very exciting at fullback. So I'm not going to update the fullback rankings. Next position on the roll call is wide receivers. I'll look at that in a little bit and see if any receivers went in my top 40 went back. I'm sure some did. McMillan didn't. Burden didn't. The more I watch McMillan, the more I'm thinking he's more of a top 10 pick than a top 5 pick. My biggest fear is the Patriots take him at 4 if Carter and Hunter are off the board, because Patriots were watching both the tackles yesterday. The Patriots were watching both Josh Connerly, the Oregon left tackle, and Antoine Ursery, the Minnesota left tackle. And
that's one thing I was watching this morning on film, and Josh Connerly Jr., he popped. He has quick feet, and that makes great movement. And he was able to keep up with the speed rushers. And I mean, he is decent. Another one to watch is Marcus Mabau. He literally handled Josiah Stewart's. Josiah Stewart was popping yesterday. He had a good practice. And, he's got good speed. He's a little bit undersized, Dwight Freeney size, 6'1", like 245. I think Freeney was listed at 255, but, that was a different day. We have, speed rushers now that are just like this. And, he had 8.5 sacks at Michigan, 2 forced fumbles. And I mean, but the one thing is Marcus Mabau, he handled his speed rush and got around him and pushed him back. He kept the angle on him, and I mean that was one thing that I really, that was the best thing that I watched on film this morning. So
I agree. I don't think I'll have to make a lot of changes with the receiver rankings.
Oh,
McMillan, Burden, Egbuka, Trey Harris, Tez Johnson, Restrepo, Torrey Horton, Evan Stewart, Ricky White. None of those guys went back to college. Kyron Lacey may go undrafted. I had a 4th-round grade on him before the legal instance, but he was accused of murdering someone. He did
yeah,
get an invite to the Senior Bowl, but I haven't heard anything from him yesterday. Nobody said
yeah,
anything about him yesterday, so I don't know what's going on internally with his situation.
yeah. That's just bad. It's one of those things, I mean, and that's a little bit. I don't know compared to what what's the name Riggs went through, Henry Riggs Ruggs at Las Vegas, and he's in prison now for a long time, and I don't know what's going to happen with Stewart.
He can see Allegiant Stadium from his prison. Did you know that Henry Ruggs can actually see Allegiant Stadium from his
I think
prison?
I actually heard that. I think I actually did, and
I
that's
saw it
like
on Facebook the other day.
that's like Johnny Cash, watching the train go by. It's like, watching that freedom, and it's like seeing what he had missed. That's almost cruel and unusual punishment. So
Yeah, Jane Daniels has opted out of the Pro Bowl. So while Drake May accepts Patrick Mahomes' Pro Bowl spot due to Josh Allen opting out, Jane Daniels opts out of the Pro Bowl, and now Baker Mayfield gets his spot. So one rookie declines the Pro Bowl, the other rookie plays in the Pro Bowl. It's very, it's
I
very
like that
weird.
because Drake May he flashed at times, and he didn't start. Brissett started early, and it was just one of those things where that line was terrible, and I'm like, don't put him in, don't put him in. And all of a sudden, they put him in. It's like I would have loved to see Drake May. I've said that before. I'll say it 100 times on the Redskins or just a different team, the Bears, even with Eberflus, and I don't know, man. I'm glad to see it. He should improve his second year because it's not to the point where he played the whole season and they have so much film on him that they have that sophomore slump. They were saying that Stroud was having a sophomore slump. He still took his team to the playoffs. He played efficiently enough. He might not have flashed, but he had a mini slump, but still taking your team to the playoffs. I mean, in the third year of a rebuild, since he's been there, I mean, that's not bad. CJ was, my quarterback one, and it wasn't particularly close, between Richardson and Bryce Young and all them. I had Bryce Young down in third. I figured he could play, but he's more of a Noah Fafita sized. I think they're the same size, actually. They list them
Right
about an inch
now,
taller than they are.
Right now, I would say Stroud's the only guy guaranteed an extension of that group. Bryce Young, if he plays like he did down the stretch, he probably gets a 5th-year tender, but has to earn the extension. That's
Yeah.
kind of my conclusion with Young. And Richardson's on the hot seat next year. If he doesn't break out, Colts are probably moving on from him.
They had that whole incident with Richardson, and it was fault on both sides.
And Richardson got injured multiple times this year. He got benched, but he got injured multiple times. He got injured at the beginning of the year, and then he got injured at the end of the year.
I had him as undraftable free agent because of that. He had an injury history, and people say, "Oh, well, it was this or that," and it's like, no, he had shoulder surgery, like twice, I think, and just other things. Those are credited to whoever wrote them.
And people overlook injuries in high school. A lot of scouts, they'll overlook the injuries in high school versus the injuries in college.
He had them at the end of high school and then, in college. And that's one thing. I don't think he knows what's going on downfield, but that's a whole other story, and we're just speaking about injuries. It's like, Penix coming out, all that was listed for football was 2 ACL tears. It's like, it didn't show both surgeries on his shoulder, and it's twisting, throwing motion. I saw Baron Morton doing that with the same AC joint sprain. And he was twisting his body like that. But, Penix cleaned it up, and that's good.
All right, so I am going to have to replace my wide receiver 25. Will Pauling, the Wisconsin receiver, is no longer in this draft. He transferred to Notre Dame in the portal. So Notre Dame got Will Pauling, the Wisconsin receiver, in the portal. That is, I did not know that. I don't keep up with this portal stuff, William. I mainly do NFL recaps and I keep track of the underclassmen that are in the actual draft class. So if I miss a name, which I've done more frequently, if I miss a name or forget to take a name out of the draft, I have to go back and find out what happened. They returned to
Chris,
school or enter the portal.
you're amazing, bro. I mean, I've seen you talk about soccer and everything else, the GMs and this and that. It's like, dude, no, you're amazing. If you miss something, that's everybody misses something. Don't worry about it.
Thank you. That's a nice fresh breather relief. And look, I told Colton Edwards this yesterday. I'm going to tell you this now. There are going to be teams in this year's NFL draft, NHL draft, and even the MLB draft that get steals because I'm on pick. I've got the first 20 picks in my MLB mock done, and there's only one pitcher with an ERA above 4. They're on Tennessee, the defending College World Series champions. So there's going to be guys who slip through the cracks in the MLB draft this year. There's probably guys who are going to slip through the cracks in the NHL draft because my friend Ron, who runs the Steel Flyers podcast, described this year and the 26 NHL draft as loaded. That was the easy word to describe those two. And then this draft definitely feels like a draft where, yeah, it's going to be hard to draft after the first round, but teams are going to get gems. This definitely feels like that type of draft, William. I know you're in agreement with me on that, even if you don't follow the NHL or the MLB. This is definitely a draft where somebody's going to get a gem outside the first round.
Yep, and that's one thing that's so exciting about this. The one thing that is so deflating is watching players fall through the cracks. You know, that's come up a few times, and it's like Colton agreed. You know, I mean, Daniel agreed. Just everyone, you know, talk to that and seeing them just like fall through the cracks. It's like that guy can actually play, but you know he doesn't have the hype. Small school, something like that. You know, there's a few of them. You know, like Rocky Lombardi. I mean, dude can absolutely play football. You know,
yeah.
And it's just one of those things that you know trying to get that hype matters a whole lot, but it can be a killer. You know, in Caleb Williams' case and Bryce Young's case. You know, I mean, they're going to live with that for the rest of their life.
A lot of these clips that NFL Network is filming, they probably filmed this at like 10:30 a.m. and they're just airing it now. Like these Xavier Restrepo one-handed catch-ups, he probably did this around 10:30 this morning, and they filmed it at 10:30. They're airing it now to segue out of Jeremiah and Siciliano and Charles Davis talking the whole time. That's probably...
Yeah. kind of like I do with my clips, get a little something exciting in there, and then you know go to the actual meat content.
I mean, Restrepo's got quite the arm for a receiver. Kind of reminds me of Julian Edelman, and I feel like I'm being disrespectful towards Julian Edelman by comparing Restrepo to Edelman.
Well, you know, Edelman came out of nowhere, you know, and Kent State, you know, as a quarterback, and then you know being converted to wide receiver. I mean, and Restrepo might not be that far, but you know, I mean, I can see the comparison because
like,
you know
he's throwing passes like a quarterback in warmups. Yeah. That's sort of why I compared him to Edelman.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he'll be as good as Edelman, but there's definitely a similarity. There's definitely a resemblance.
It's kind of that comparison is kind of like the difference between Anthony Bourdain and Ernest Hemingway. You know, they both died at the same age. They both, you know, took their own life, you know, things like that. But the one was a cook, you know, Anthony Bourdain, a little bit more than Hemingway was. And Hemingway was more of a writer. But, you know, they both had, it was balanced, you know, to compare them because there were so many similarities, you know. But that's my gem for the day. Oh, and Landon Jackson. Oh my God, he did not look good. He got handled. It was disappointing. He's experimental.
Landon Jackson, a rough first day, and then NFL Network decided to have fun by posting some Toy Story selfies of the Senior Bowl players on Instagram, and there's a picture of Landon Jackson dressed up as Woody. I'm not going to say anything bad. Woody was my favorite Toy Story character. I like Woody more than Buzz Lightyear. I know. Yeah. I know there are people that are going to say that makes me a buzzkill, but when I was a kid, I liked Woody more than Buzz Lightyear.
No pun intended. Yeah, no, but that's funny. But no, man, he was experimenting with moves and stuff. He just wasn't having any luck, and his feet were light on the ground. You know, he got handled. He did not have a low base. You know, and his speed rush didn't work. And I was just like, wow. I saw like 34 snaps, and I'm like, yeah, that guy's going to fall a little bit in the draft.
Thornton are really the only two that stood out on film this year, and they're not consistent. The other guys are the Ohio State edge rushers, who are my third and fourth best defensive ends, and then you have Landon Jackson at 5. And Jackson, if he's the 5th best defensive end, you're going to need to get that edge rusher in round 1.
Whatever dude's name is, Ursery, the offensive line, he handled Jackson to the ground.
Yeah,
it was
Ursery looks really good. Ursery,
Yeah.
he's had a really good day. He's a player who may end up moving up the rankings.
Very Yaya Black for Iowa. You know, he got good inside push and definitely try hard, and he could break through. Powerful hands,
Watching Max
and push.
Warm up, he had 107 tackles with TCU. Became the leader of TCU's secondary after Quinion Mitchell left. What are your impressions of Max and Hook? I haven't really looked a lot at him, but
I haven't either. I don't want to speak out of turn, but you know, it kind of one of those medium things. It's like I saw so many players, you know, yesterday, and it just so many snaps that nothing popped. You know, the offensive lineman didn't do much, and the defensive lineman didn't do much, and it was like, man, these guys are lazy or something. But no, I mean, it kind of changed the subject there, went off on a tangent, but you know, I mean, it's one of those things. It's a hard translation to tell, you know, on his way to the NFL. Put it that way.
Yeah, definitely.
And Anthony Belton, that dude, brick wall. I mean, solid base and strong.
Yeah,
strong
North Carolina State left tackle had a very good day, because those are the 3 guys I kept talking about in yesterday's show. Connerly, Ursery, and Anthony Belton. If the Patriots pass on a left tackle at 4, I'm pretty confident they're getting Connerly or Ursery at 38, and they may have to trade back into their first round to get one of them. That's the thing. They may have to give up a second this year and a day 2 pick next year to move back and get one of those guys.
It might be, you know, worth that 5th-year option, you know, maybe, possibly. You know, that could be a silver lining if you traded second to get back up in there, you know.
Because I don't see the Patriots ignoring left tackle. After quarterback, I would argue it's the most important position on the team.
Yeah, very much. And like I said, that's what I was saying about Drake May. But, you know, Drake May got a whole lot more mobile between, you know, his sophomore year in college and his junior year. I mean, and he's
he was a sophomore redshirt. He redshirted his freshman year behind Sam Howell, and then he played 2 years at North Carolina. And I know what you're saying. You have to be 3 years removed from high school to be drafted. I get it.
Yeah, and he was one of the younger prospects. You know, Jaden Daniels was 24. Bo Nix was 24. Spencer Rattler was 24. You know, I mean, it's just one of those things where he was the younger of the bunch, and that's why I saw, you know, more ceiling, and that's why he was my QB1 last year.
Yeah, so, okay.
I'll explain that.
Looking for a receiver to put in these rankings. My choices are Pat Bryant, Daquan Felton, Jalen Layton. I think I have Noel in my rankings. I think I have both Iowa State receivers in my rankings. I may not have put the Iowa State receivers in my rankings. I'm looking right now. I have the Oklahoma State receivers. I have I guess I didn't. I was not high on the
and they didn't show out either. You know, Oklahoma State with Bowman didn't show out.
I think Andrew Armstrong came back for his senior year at Arkansas, so he's a guy I'm going to have to take out of these rankings as well. I think Dorian Singer also went back to college because he went from Arizona to Utah.
Singer is a guy who could take the top off of defense. I mean, dude is.
I love Singer too. I think he's one of the better players in this. Better players in college football, but I don't think he's in the NFL draft. I think he either entered the portal again or he went back to college.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. First thing I see on Google, YouTube, Dorian Singer returning to Utah. So he went back. So there's a few receivers I'm going to have to take out of these rankings and put in.
After Cam Rising went down, they didn't find a quarterback, and the other ones were just bad. You know, Wilson was young. Isaac Wilson, Zach Wilson's little brother. You know, but I think he transferred, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not sure what they got going on there, but you know, Singer maybe can get, into maybe an
They may
SEC
have
route.
kept Isaac Wilson. I haven't really kept up with the portal, but I'll put Pat Bryant because Pat Bryant's at the Senior Bowl, and I have Zachary Franklin ranked higher than Pat Bryant because I love Franklin at UTSA, but Bryant's at the Senior Bowl and Franklin isn't. So we'll put Bryant in the rankings. I mean, that's the fairest way to do this.
Yeah. Go back through history, see how many Bryants have played receiver.
That's true.
You say Bryant, it's like, oh wow. Which one?
Jordan Moore out of Duke, is he in the draft? Or I think Jordan Moore may have gone to Notre Dame in the portal. I think Moore's a portal guy. I'm not sure. I'm looking to see if he is it. I'm looking to see if Moore entered the portal or went back to Duke or is in the draft.
And the big schools were scanning for those small school players like that, the ones that got some experience and can possibly move up to their level, and actually, show out. So we'll see what happens with a lot of them.
Yeah, because players announced for the 25 featuring Jordan Moore did end up declaring, okay. Barry and Brown's in this. So is Dane Key. So is Trevor Pena, the Syracuse receiver. Well, I don't know if Trevor Pena's in this. I know Moose Muhammad is. Jack Beck. I'll look up Trebor Pena. Because a lot of these guys I'm unfamiliar with. If they show the running back drills or something exciting, I'll talk about it. But the quarterbacks were very bland yesterday. They were about as bland as a glass of water. The glass of water I drank this morning, the ice still hasn't melted yet. I could get a drink of water during the commercial, but I want to grind through and try to get as many players in the draft database. So when I do my mock draft, Trevor Pena returns for his senior season at Syracuse. Okay, we got to replace Pena with somebody else. Great. Yep.
Got to keep up with it, man.
I know. I got to keep up with it. I guess we'll put, because this is like round 5. This is like round 6 at this final round 5 receiver at this point. Which Iowa State receiver do you like better? Because I'm going to put one of them. I don't think I put either in the rankings. I'm going to put one of them here in the rankings if I haven't already. And I'm double checking.
What was their names again? The one
Higgins, Jaden Higgins, and Jalen Noel and Jalen Higgins. I think Higgins rated higher. Oh, I already put Higgins in the rankings at 14.
I did that sounds about right, dude.
In the rankings, so we'll put Noel in at where we have Pena.
I do like that. They had a decent quarterback in Rocco Becht, Anthony Becht's son, but he might be all right. One of those kids that's been grown for the position. They've been groomed, since they were little, and there's a lot of them, and that's why you see them fall through the cracks. You see the football IQ through the roof with coaches' sons. I talk about that all the time, and
agreed.
Just one of those things you gotta do some research when you're researching and see if names match and everything else, and try to believe the internet because half of it's BS and the other half lies. Just sift through the stuff to try to get the truth about things.
Yeah, Brew McCoy is at the Senior Bowl, so he's going to stay in the receiver rankings. So is Savion Williams, DeCorian Clark. I basically just have to replace Dorian Singer and Andrew Armstrong, the Arkansas receiver that came back, with whoever's available from this list. How about Nick Nash? I feel like putting Nick Nash in the rankings. He led the country in receptions and receiver yards. I know he's not a Senior Bowl guy, but I feel like he's done enough to earn one of these last 2 spots. I think even though he's not in the Senior Bowl.
I think the fans can agree for that. I mean, fans mean so much to football now, and then that's one thing. It's like Daniel Jones and Trevor Lawrence have eerily similar stats.
Receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. The fact that he didn't play in the Senior Bowl shouldn't matter. If you do that, you get put on the rankings. All right.
That's the thing. But between the Combine and the Senior Bowl, there are so many players that aren't invited, and there's so many of them that get there and do nothing. It's like, why don't you let somebody else have their spot? And that's what I was trying to argue. Rocky Lombardi, I mentioned him before, and he had, the second fastest 40, just everything else. He would have been second among, just athletics among quarterbacks at the Combine, and it's like, why wasn't he invited? It's just one of those things. Oh man, I think I need some breakfast, Chris.
This is why I ate a Jimmy Dean breakfast bowl and took a shower before the show. And I woke up at 10 a.m. I slept in late. It was at the tipping point where William was texting me, Chris, are you awake? Chris, are you awake? At like 10:30. And I was awake.
Yeah, I definitely did that. I usually do that at like 3 o'clock in the morning too. So shit.
But I need that. I need that type of moral support from my teammates. It shows the dedication.
Yes, sir.
It shows commitment.
Yep. That's for sure, man. Get pushed by your, this stuff is, people see it as so competitive, talking about football and stuff. And yeah, sure it is, because there's no need for us, I mean, what we do, everybody wants to do, and trying to get into it, you got to be really great. And that's why I keep practicing at this podcast stuff. But, I'm still deciding.
Harold Shannon Jr. has looked more confident than he did yesterday in the one-on-ones. That's according to Dame Parson from an hour ago. I'm trying to find out, what receiver do we want to put in these rankings? Maybe I'll watch the Senior Bowl, and whoever does the best among this group will get the last spot. Open competition,
Fannin
I could get into the tight end rankings, update that, but I honestly feel like we gotta make whoever gets that last spot in my receiver rankings earn it, because I'm not really impressed with whoever's left, and we'll see. Tyler's show on having 4 college degrees. I basically majored in football. Okay. That's
so did
great.
Rocky Lombardi did that too. He had 3 degrees, 2 masters and a bachelor's. I was like, wow, dude. That's what you do when you get to college, I majored in psychology, sociology, and criminal justice, man. Let me tell you. It was fun though. I love college.
I loved psychology, but in order to major in psychology, you had to take behavioral statistics at Slippery Rock. I just couldn't. It was very hard.
Anytime statistics,
intervals, z-scores, it was hard. It was too hard for me. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, anything that says statistics, they take math and turn it upside down and freaking, and then feed it back to you, and then get you to regurgitate it. It's like, oh wow.
They probably do that to weed out the people that they believe are deserving of degrees, because that's like the one really hard course, and they want to put a math related course in the major. Like a lot of colleges, they want to put a math related course in the major so that you have to jump through hoops to get the degree.
That's the problem with mine is, after CSI started, everybody wants to be a detective, and it's like, dude, but you have to weed them out like that, and it's almost like this, because it's everyone that wants to do it, but it's the ones that are actually dedicated to helping people and stuff. That's why I went. But now I figure maybe if I can distract somebody with my writing, football has helped me through so much, giving me hope. There's always next year, and that's one thing that's pushed me through to do this stuff. So if I can help one person doing it, just to distract them for a minute.
I don't think I have Jalen Royals, the Utah State receiver, in my rankings. I think we're in agreement. That's probably the one guy that should be added. Even I don't think I have to even watch the receiver drills if that's the case, because I'm looking. Because there's 40 receivers. I'm double checking, triple checking to make sure Jalen Royals is in somewhere. If he's not, I think that's probably who we'll end up adding. Ollie Jennings, did he go back? I feel like he went back or entered the portal. I'm double checking. Sure. Ollie Jennings, Virginia Tech. No, he's in the draft. All right, so then we're going to add Jalen Royals. I honestly, at this point, I don't know who else to add. I really don't want to, because then I can focus on some other positions. There's still 3 days of this left. All right.
3 days of this, man.
Yeah.
We're having shows every day, guys. Stick around.
So then the tight ends, rankings. This is where it gets hard, because you can make a case for Fannin, Warren, or Loveland in the first round right now. I have round 1, round 2, so I have all 3 of those guys in my. I still have Loveland at 1, but you can make a case for Fannin or Warren in round 1 at this point.
I've got Loveland at 1. same. You know, and
I've got
it's
Loveland in
probably the
one, and
same
I've got
order.
Fannin and Ward in two, but I think all three of those guys
Mm.
could go in one.
Yeah, for sure. They're
That's why
definitely
it's so
capable of
hard.
it. And you know, Warren is a do everything tight end. You know, Fannin is a big ass receiver. You know, and runs like it.
Kind of like Likely was. Likely was a speedy
Mm-hmm.
wide receiver tight end, but he needed work as a blocker. That's kind of what I see in Fannin, what I saw in Likely at a Coastal Carolina 3 years ago.
Yep, I remember quarterback. Oh, he transferred to what, like Duke or something like that.
Was
I
it?
can never remember names.
Are you thinking of Grayson McCall, the Coastal Carolina
Yeah,
quarterback that went
that's
to
him.
NC State and retired? Because at
Yeah,
one point
that's
I
when I
did have a
saw
first
likely.
on him.
He was really likable, and then I don't know what happened. It was like, damn, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, and I know Daniel Kelly was the same way because we were talking about that. You know,
There's the USC running back. He's off to the races. Joquan Marks, the former Mississippi State running back. Nice gain on that play. He does get tackled, but really nice gain. Really good separation in that drill. I'm kind of curious who's blocking up front. I do see Wyatt Milam. I do see a West Virginia lineman. That's got to be Wyatt Milam. It's like finding Waldo. It's very
right?
obvious because he's like the only West Virginia player at the Senior Bowl. I think Jonah Monheim's hiking the ball to the quarterback. Yep, and the screen pass to 5. I'm not sure who that is. Is that that's not Skatiba? Who is that?
Oh, let's see.
Is that Trey Harris, the Mississippi State receiver? No, that's a Virginia Tech guy, Felton.
I'm seeing what I can find here.
There's a few guys I'm high on, but I'm not high on a lot of guys at receiver this year outside of the top of the draft. Gadsden, I have at tight end 4. I have Oscar Delp at tight end 5. Luke Lakey at tight end 6. Mitchell Evans at tight end 7. Mason Taylor, tight end 8. Ferguson, tight end 9. Bryson Nesbitt of North Carolina is my tight end 10. I feel like he went back because I have not heard a damn thing from Bryson Nesbitt.
Yeah.
We would have heard something about Nesbitt by now. Maybe he is a senior, but it's like we have not heard anything about him.
Yeah, nothing at all, man.
Because he was like a 4th-round guy when we did this in October.
Yeah.
But I have not heard anything about him since. Okay, so let's see. Nesbitt. Okay, so Nesbitt is a 2025 prospect, but he went all the way down from a 4th-round pick to 387. He was once at his peak, he was once in the 4th round back in November, but he's climbed all the way down to 387 on the NFL draft database average board after being a 4-star recruit in high school. So Nesbitt's a guy you can get in the 6th or 7th. You might be able to get him in the 6th or 7th round. I'll keep him in draft rankings, but I still have a 4th on him. And Gunnar Helm's another guy. Okay, we can move Gunnar Helm ahead of Nesbitt, but Nesbitt, I do like Nesbitt's potential. Let me see what I did as far as my big board goes. I want to check my phone really quickly. Just see where I had Nesbitt when I did my last draft rankings and where I had Gunnar Helm. I want to see. Okay, so I have the same exact grade on both players. All right, then we're going to move Helm ahead of Nesbitt. Sorry, Nesbitt. It's just we haven't heard anything about you since November, and NFL mock draft database has you going undrafted. I still think you're good enough to get drafted, by the way, but they have you at 387. And at that point, you're way past the UDFA territory. You're looking at, is he even going to be a priority free agent once you get to like the 380s? Because there's only about like 100 UDFAs that get signed. Everybody gets an audition, but the guys who get the auditions hardly make the final rosters. But yeah, I still like Nesbitt, but I would probably move Helm ahead of him at this point. And Tyler Show, he's been hiking the ball. Damian Martinez is in at running back. Harold Fannin is in. It's a 2 tight end set. 12 personnel. We have Fannin at 1 tight end and Gavin Bartholomew in the other tight end slot. So this is a 12 personnel play. Is it a running play? Yeah, it's a running play to Mark. No, it's a play action. Show sells the play action, and he throws to the Washington State receiver, Kyle Williams. But Kyle Williams struggled to keep both feet in bounds. He caught the football, but he struggled to keep both feet in bounds.
I remember I had that marked on Shug when I did like a mini evaluation on him. I was intrigued by him, and that was one thing that he showed was selling the play action, and going after it, and actually, just not standing there and
he's great at
defense
selling the play action, but I do feel like he holds on to the ball a little too long.
Yeah. He thinks he can escape. I'm pretty sure of that, and sometimes he can, but sometimes it's not a good look. Hanging onto the ball too long. A
player at the Senior Bowl just got away with jumping off sides. Jim Nagy, you need to go up to the referees and tell them to pretend the defensive players are Chiefs players. Or, I don't know. I'm kidding, by the way. Just do not do that. Just ignore that. Completely disregard what I just said. The reason I said it is because it's just like player got away with an offsides the Senior Bowl. Maybe the ref pretended he was on the Chiefs. I don't know. I don't know why he got away with an offsides there. But the guy jumped early. There was no flag on the play. Just very weird.
Man, Samsung
Dylan Gabriel takes off and runs. Dylan Gabriel, he takes off and runs. And here's the thing. Dylan Gabriel, he's not wearing an Oregon helmet this morning. He's wearing a Central Florida helmet. Well, actually, Dylan Gabriel... Here's the thing about the Senior Bowl, William. If you go to multiple colleges, you can put the multiple helmet stickers on your Senior Bowl helmet.
Yep. And I saw Gabriel.
That's what Jalen Hurts did in 2020. He had an Alabama and Oklahoma helmet sticker. Well, yesterday, I thought I only saw Oregon on Gabriel's helmet, but I see Oklahoma and Central Florida now.
Yeah, and that's the one thing is Central Florida, they don't get the respect. So he's probably trying to say, hey, check out my school. They're not as bad as you look. And he did all right there. He got some experience, but he didn't show out. I mean, Plumlee showed out.
Gordon with a nice run up the middle. It's only
no one's talking about Gordon either. And that's one thing. He is a good back. You had him as a Heisman favorite, I remember. And
he won the Doak Walker Award in 2023, but he just had a really bad year in 2024. That's why
Oklahoma State did. Period. Alex Bowman and all of them. Did Bowman get an 8th year? Is that what I heard? Eligibility is 27 or something like that. That's crazy.
Gordon only had 880 yards versus last year, but he did have 13 rushing touchdowns. He went from 1,700 yards and 21 touchdowns to 880 and 13. So he's still good, but he only had 10 yards against Colorado in a 52-0 loss. But they gave him the ball 4 times. That's partially why he only had 10 yards. They only gave him the ball 4 times. You could argue that's more on the coaches and the players.
Yes, sir. I'm trying to see here if I can get to.
So Bartholomew. Yeah, it's on NFL Network. If you get NFL Plus, you can get the replays of it. And there's people that have the all 22, the Twitter stuff like that. RJ Maryland, he's an SMU tight end. I don't know if he went back or if he got injured. Because I know he got injured. We talked about RJ Maryland, but I think he's a senior, but I remember he suffered a season-ending injury leading up to the draft, and he was like a day 3 pick. Some thought he could go in day 2.
Yeah, you mentioned all 22, and that reminds me, man, people say, well, why don't you watch all 22? List that for sources. And I'm like, shit, they follow me on Twitter.
Yeah, there's people that watch all 22, and they would rather pay for all 22 than watch regular film that's free.
It's not public, man. Yeah, and it's not available to the public. That's why I don't use it. I mean, it's free, but I can watch it. I'm just not, gonna, use it as sources, when you actually have to pay for it. So there's that.
Would rather pay for all 22 than watch. Come on, NFL Network, show some new commercials. We don't want to see Jason Kelce playing with Lucky Charms again. No offense to Jason Kelce, but it's the marshmallows. It's the second day in a row you've aired that commercial. You got to get more creative with these commercials.
It has a lot to do. The all 22 helps with the routes and cornerbacks, wide receivers, being able to see exactly what they do. So there is that. That's why I don't grade so many of them. Those is because of that reason. Unless I'm going to go off all 22, and I've got that Jalen Milroe evaluation coming out this morning.
You need to have General Mills. You need to film a commercial with the Kelsey brothers playing football with the cereal mascots. That's what you need to do. Okay.
Anybody watching too.
General Mills has aired the same commercial with Jason Kelsey counting marshmallows for the second day in a row, and I can live with that once, but a second time, you're just pissing me off at that point with a lack of originality. And plus, if you had a General Mills commercial with the Lucky Charms guy, the Trix Rabbit, the Cinnamon Toast Crunch mascot, the Honey Nut Cheerios mascot, all of your mascots playing a game of football against the Kellogg's mascots, that commercial would make so much money. And you could make it a Super Bowl ad. Like, you could legitimately make that a Super Bowl ad. The
Easily.
General Mills mascots versus the Kellogg's mascots in a football game, and you got the Kelsey brothers on Team General Mills. That would make a lot of money. I know it costs a lot of money, but you would make a lot of money by playing that. I'm telling you, that's what you got to do. I'm handing out commercial advice to these companies because the commercials are just that bad. And I'm hearing like some of the companies are actually pulling from the Super Bowl because they hate the matchup. They're actually pulling their ads.
Yeah.
Urisac, Bartholomew, Bringstool. So, okay, I didn't have to change any of the tight ends.
Anybody not betting on the Chiefs is nuts because of what's happened this year. And I'm not going to repeat a lot of it, but
yeah,
they're going to win.
They are going to win. Ron Torbert's officiating the game. He called the Bengals Chiefs AFC title when the Chiefs went to Super Bowl 57. Yeah, remember Ron Torbert?
Was that when Burrow and him and Mahomes went at it?
Kansas City by a field goal, and Joseph Osai had the roughing the passer penalty at the end, or the unnecessary roughness play, and it put the Chiefs in field goal range, and they won on a field goal, and then Pratt got pissed at Osai. That's who's calling the Super Bowl. So this is over.
Yeah. That's for sure,
Barkley,
man.
Cooper DeJean can have a birthday party in New Orleans on the day of the Super Bowl. Won't matter. They're still going to lose. They're still going to watch Mahomes lift the trophy again on their birthday. This thing's in the bud.
Man, yeah. Like I said, I mean, obviously Kansas City is going to be the favorites. I mean, Philadelphia is a tough team. They really are.
The only player with a season-ending injury is Nakobe Dean, but I think with him out, the Hunt, and I honestly think Hunt's going to get the first touchdown in the Super Bowl. If I had to pick a Super Bowl MVP, I might pick Kareem Hunt, the former Brown, just as a dark horse, because Mahomes has won it every year. I feel like we're at the point where the NFL wants to see somebody else besides Mahomes win Super Bowl MVP, but they want to see the Chiefs three-peat.
I can see Cooper DeJean having a really good game.
I think Cooper DeJean gets a pick six on. No, it'd be hilarious. Caitlin Clark is in the Super Bowl booth with Taylor Swift. Cooper DeJean gets a pick six. Caitlin Clark celebrates because they both went to Iowa, and then Taylor Swift kicks her out of the booth. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see.
Then Taylor love that Swift prediction.
Loses their shit, and she gets kicked out of the. Then Clark gets kicked out of the booth.
Oh God, dude. No, that'd be crazy. And that's the one thing. It's a gene. Anytime he touches the ball, he can score.
Because it'd be like Taylor having her moment in the Super Bowl. Remember when Travis Kelce yelled at Andy Reid on the sideline after a drive? I think that was against the Eagles a few years ago. And everybody looked at Andy Reid like, why are you putting up with that? And Kelce just went off on Andy Reid.
Well, yeah, I think everybody saw that one.
That would be the equivalent of Taylor Swift kicking Caitlin Clark out of the booth. And Caitlin Clark's a Chiefs fan.
Watching Spagnuolo call a timeout again. How about that one?
Yeah.
No, dude, and that's the one thing. It's like I can see that, and it's like it doesn't really matter because the ones that think that the NFL is rigged, they think, oh well, my team doesn't suck. They just got screwed. So they get a little bit enraged, and it makes them more
really
fans.
Super Bowls after this.
I hope so.
Bengals Lions for 60. Bills, Buccaneers for 61, Chargers over Commanders in Atlanta for 62. We get that, but first we have to watch the Chiefs three-peat. That's the drawback for getting those legendary Super Bowls. That is the drawback. There's a drawback to every transaction. And watching the Chiefs three-peat would be the drawback to watching those amazing Super Bowls in the future.
Indeed. You know, I mean, that's one thing. I hope both teams lose. You know, I feel that I've got that inner Christian McCaffrey, so it doesn't matter anymore. You know, I like playoff football, but this, I already know who's going to win, like I said. So,
yeah, I mean, at this point, it just feels foolish to bet against the Chiefs.
Yeah,
I think they'll make 2 more AFC titles, but they'll probably lose the Bengals at home again, and then they lose the Bills in Buffalo. That's what I think will happen, and then their window will begin to close after that, I think.
Yeah.
I still think they'll be a good team, but they're going to lose a lot of key free agents. They're going to lose Nick Bolton. They're going to lose Hopkins. I think Hopkins is only on a 1-year deal. I can look up the Chiefs UFAs really quickly.
I mean, Mahomes wasn't even a top 5 quarterback this year, was he?
No, but I'll look up the Chiefs UFAs. DeAndre Hopkins, wide receiver. Justin Reed, strong safety. Charles Omenihu, backup edge rusher. Marquise Brown, UFA. Tershawn Wharton, the starting defensive tackle. He took the defensive tackle job for Derek Nottie. Nottie's also a free agent. DJ Humphries is a free agent. Justin Watson's a free agent. Samaj Perine. Nick Bolton, starting middle linebacker. So that entire front 7 outside of the defensive ends, UFAs. The entire run defense, Juju, Kareem
and
Hunt.
Bolton keys on run defense. I mean,
and Bolton's only 24. That's the one guy I feel like Andy Reid should have brought back. I thought Trey Smith's a free agent too. Trey Smith didn't give up any sacks the last 2 years, last 3 years actually, and the fact that the Chiefs didn't re-sign Bolton or Trey Smith, that says a lot. They probably already know they can't re-sign one of those guys, but the fact that they didn't re-sign both after re-signing Humphrey, that says a lot, because I think Bolton and Smith are the 2 they're going to target, and they're going to let everyone else walk and try to reload the team.
Yeah, I believe that, you know, and they always get role players and, you know, people or players, you know, like Justin Watson, you know, he had a broken leg, you know, his rookie year. And, but, you know, he definitely sunk, you know, coming out of Clemson, but he can be something, you know.
The Chiefs only have $11 million, by the way. The Chiefs only have $11 million to spend in cap space. So they know that's for 2025, this upcoming season. They know they
can
really
easily
bring
replace
back Bolton. Unless they cut somebody. I don't know who they can cut to save cap space, though. That's the problem.
They can replace him in the draft. So there's that.
I think they can replace Trey Smith in the draft because it's a really good guard draft. Whereas I don't know if they can replace Bolton, but is the market value even available for any of these guys? That's what I'd like to know, because
I think Bolton would get, you know, decent market value. He's showing out a little bit.
Market value for Trey Smith is up. The market value for Bolton is not. Let's see what Trey Smith's market value is. Because I'm looking here to see what 19.7 million. Okay, the Chiefs have 11 million. They would be over the cap if they extended Smith. So they can't bring him back. They're stuck.
There's some defensive ends.
Market value is around 15 million. It doesn't say, but
like I said, you know, just as a speed rusher outside edge, you know,
15.2 million is the market value for Hopkins. So the Chiefs can't bring back Hopkins. Market value for Brown is 8 million. They can bring back Marquise Brown, but they're probably going to keep the 11 million and just reload in the draft, because I don't think with 11 million.
Well, they've got to have 7 or 8 for the draft, is it?
Yeah, 7 or 8 for the draft alone. So you're looking at maybe 3 or 4 million. Players with market value of 3 or 4 million are the only 2 guys you can bring back. Marquez Brown's got a market value of 8 million. So a slight increase even after the injury. Carson Wentz's market value is only 1.9 million. So you could technically bring him back as your backup next year. I don't think they will. He played awful against the Broncos. I don't think they will. But he was awful against the Broncos in Week 18. And there we see Jonah Monheim in a one-on-one against Campbell out of Oregon, and Monheim wins that rep. We're not trying to get off topic.
Yeah, you mentioned him.
Free agents. I'm just kind of curious what they're going to do with such little cap space.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm genuinely curious. Samaj Perrine's market value is $1.5 million. I can guarantee you they're going to bring back Perrine on a team-friendly deal, and it'll be Pacheco in the final year of his rookie deal, Perrine, and a running back they draft if they don't want to pay Pacheco.
Isaiah freaking.
That's probably what they're going to do, because Kareem Hunt's a UFA. I don't think they can bring him back. I think they bring back Perrine. They go with Pacheco, and they draft a rookie. And they have they have Carson Steele. I forgot they have Carson Steele too.
I was going to mention that.
They don't have to draft a running back.
Isaiah Pacheco, man, I call him knees and elbows because that's how he runs, man. He is all knees and elbows, and it's fun to watch.
It is,
watch players like that. It's kind of like watching what's the name, Cam Scatterbo. I mean, just watching him move and just
Donovan Ezeraru,
so distinct.
Boston College defensive ends going up against Marcus Mabo, and it is Ezeraru and Mabo. They both win the rep, and they're both pushing each other. And now Mabo they both grabbed each other's face masks, and it's gotten to the point where the coaches and the other linemen have to break this up. When the linemen have to help the coaches break up a fight, that it's pretty ugly. The animosity.
That's one of the first things that I watched that this morning, and like I said, Mabo is good. And he's got strength and just solid.
And there's people that think he could be a
guard attitude, mean streak,
And there's Jalen Travis against Mike Green. And Jalen Travis is a guy at a second on. I'm not high on Mike Green, but I think Green won that rep, but he's pointing fingers.
I saw that rep, and I wasn't impressed with either of them. That's one of the ones I was talking about earlier. I was like, So...
I just hope nobody gets injured, because last night the Dallas Stars did sweep the Vegas Golden Knights in hockey for the first time ever, but Miro Heiskanen, Dallas's best defender and their highest rated player in the NHL video games, he got a knee injury, and he was grabbing his left knee on the ice, had trouble getting up. Some are saying it's only a minor PCL sprain. He'll be back. Others are saying he could be out months, season ending. I'm leaning towards the latter of the two. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but if you grab people like that and you can't get off the ice, that tells me it's a season-ending thing.
Yeah, for sure. That's one of those things that's just tragic to see, when they get hurt. I can't believe some of the fans cheer that stuff these days. It's like, what the hell? It's like, dude, if I beat someone as a competitor, I want them at their best. I don't want there to be any excuses, and that's one thing that happens with that. And I don't think I have a damn cigarette, Chris.
Yeah, Wyatt Johnston, Dallas's 21 first-round pick, got a hat trick against Vegas. That's how they won 4-3. But the Miro injury, we don't really know what the severity of it is. And you got people saying that there's people demanding Mark Stone get suspended, the Vegas captain. But yeah, I want to see how these drills go. I don't want to change the subject. I've done that twice now with the Chiefs and with hockey. But yeah, I think that's the Utah defensive tackle, the reps. But yeah, the offensive line, defensive line reps, will keep watching this, keep commenting on it. Jonah Monheim's had a good day. Jonah Monheim, the USC center, has had a good day. And a lot of these defensive linemen just want to talk shit and create fights and create drama. And Monheim's just he's talking, but he's being very casual, very humble about it. But I guess the defensive lineman doesn't like it. He just wants... Yeah, Monheim looks really good.
Sorry, man.
Marcus Mabo lines up at center here, but here we see 5 go up against Greg Zabel and win. I think that's Joshua Farmer on Florida State. I could be wrong, William, but I think that's Farmer on Florida State. And here we see Stewart going up against the Boston College tackle, Ozzie Trapillo. And Trapillo continuing to struggle with the knee bend, continuing to struggle in that respect in these Senior Bowl reps. Mike Green going up against Belton, And wow, Felton actually held his own versus Green there. Green's won a lot of one-on-one reps.
Yeah, he did. I saw a few of those, and he wasn't impressed on a few, but he did win.
And the Toledo defensive tackle beats Jalen Rivers, the Miami guard. Marcus Mbow versus UCLA defensive tackle, and the UCLA D tackle gets by Mbow there. That was probably one of the losses Mbow had. But I think he won every other rep outside of that, William.
Sorry about that, man. I'm just having some issues here, some personal things.
No worries.
But yeah, dude, got off into hockey again. Where were we with Jalen Green?
Jalen Green,
because he was a player that kind of popped. I almost wrote his name down, but I definitely remember
Jalen Travis, the Iowa State tackle.
Travis,
yeah, he's good. But
yeah,
here you got Zabel
sure.
holding his own against Farmer, the North Dakota State right tackle who's lined up at guard in some reps. But yeah, these one-on-ones, they reveal a lot. And the Utah defensive tackle, Tafuna, had a good win there.
Yeah, he's popped on film a few times, but that defense is like that. Some of them get through, and it's just because of, the skill level of the players around them. But Zafuna, if that's his name, he definitely popped a few times. He showed up, coming up the middle, and I mean he has some good footwork, some active hands. And, that's just a short little quip on him.
Yeah, should I pull up what people are saying about the winners at this Senior Bowl before we sign off? Just pull up some information.
Yeah, do that, man.
Because it's 1 p.m. I don't think they're done practicing yet, but I would totally understand if Mike Green is selected in the top 16.
Yeah, for sure. Hey man, I kind of got to get off air. This is kind of important.
What's going on?
I'm sorry to cut it short. Just got a personal thing, and yeah, I'll tell you more about it later.
All right.
Just it's not for discussion on there. But all right, guys. Yeah, come see us here in an hour. We'll be on the American practice and seeing what's up there. Thanks for viewing, guys, and I will see.
All right, so I am going to sign off. There's a commercial. It's not that I don't want to keep going. It's that, practice. Okay, maybe I will keep going, but it's like the practices. If nothing happens during the practices, I am going to sign off. It's just hard to focus during commercials. And when you're not actually, if you're at the Senior Bowl, you get to see all the fun stuff. All right, so we'll see what happens here because East West Shrine Bowl. We have 22 people in the live stream. Thank you guys. 20 on X, 1 on Twitch, 1 on YouTube. All right, so there you see Pat Bryant catching a pass. Dylan Gabriel. Gabriel dropping back. Tez Johnson. Gabriel throws a touchdown to Tez Johnson. Not bad. Good read by Gabriel. And for those keeping score of the touchdowns, Gabriel has 1. I'm sure there's other touchdowns we haven't seen, but this year I haven't been very excited about the quarterback group. Williams going up against this Western Michigan corner, and yeah, overthrown pass. Just not very consistent. The quarterback play is just not very consistent this year. Virginia Tech receiver going up against maybe I'll look at the tackles next. All right, so we got Bartholomew going up against Toledo safety. And Bartholomew wins this rep to no surprise, gains separation, touchdown. Bartholomew's been on my radar for a few years. The Toledo safety really wasn't. I think he got invited because Quinion Mitchell dominated last year as a rookie and dominated the Senior Bowl. So, let's see who else we can get. Harold Fannin Jr. makes a catch. He makes a good catch inbounds in the one-on-ones. Harold Fannin, people were saying he looked a lot more confident in the one-on-ones. I can definitely see it now after rewatching the drill. And there you go. You see a touchdown to an Iowa State receiver. I think that's Higgins, but yeah. And there you see the Washington State receiver. Makes a catch, moves the chains, first down. Terrence Ferguson, one-on-one. Quarterback overthrows the pass. He did a good job getting separation there, but, you know, he got overthrown in the play. I think the practices end at 1:30, so I'll probably go until 1:30. It does feel like they're ending early today. It does feel like the first team's ending practice now, and then the second team will practice from 2 to 4 because they're all huddling together. That is usually a I'll wait until after the commercial to sign off, but I'm pretty certain they ended practice. I do think I'm gonna load up the offensive tackle rankings. Let's see what we got here. I've seen enough to move Ursery ahead of Emory Jones. I haven't seen enough to move Jalen Travis ahead of Ursery, but I would probably put Ursery now as OT4. Because Ursery's had 2 good days in a row. Emory Jones had a bad first day. I'm not ready to move him down below some of these other guys, but I think Ursery's floor is definitely higher than Emory Jones' floor at this point. I got a 4th on Josh Simmons because he had 3rd round tape last year in 2023, but he had 1st round tape in 2024. I don't know how I feel about Simmons, to be completely honest, because he's a guy who could end up who I could end up moving up in this draft. But I think Campbell has a chance to go in the top of the group. Carmona, Maboa, Jack Nelson, Xavier Truss, Austin Barber, and then the Texas A&M tackles. I think the A&M tackles, Austin Barber out of Florida. So Austin Barber ended up returning. Did either of the Texas tackles return? Okay, so Trey Zune III is returning. I think Fathery's probably going to be in this draft. I have not seen anything. I'm just going to end the show. We'll be back at 2. If anything happens between now and 2, we'll report it in the next